Okay, I'm turning off Messenger so I won't see shit. Welcome everyone, you are listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. Rather than getting a countdown, I got one production note from Eagle saying, "You said penis." That's all we got. That's all we got. I am your host, Pete Delariz. I'm joined, of course, by the Be-Hooded Terry Tan.
The Be-Hooded.
Be-Hooded.
We're at the
Be-Hooding
point.
season, to be fair.
It is. We're also at the point, not only Be-Hooding season, but hoodie theft season, I will say. A lot of hoodies and sweaters are being thieved, are being stolen by the opposite sex of people's relationships.
Oh yes, that is in fact correct.
This is stolen hoodie season. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
In my case, stolen sock season.
All right. It's a stolen warmth season, but in my relationship, I'm the cold one. So
Okay.
I'm the one stealing warmth. So I'm a monster.
So you're the one that cuddles up behind your wife, and you're just like, doo, doo, doo. You think,
Yeah, it's a funny visual if you know the two of us because I'm large and she is not. So we have a psychotic show to get through, Terry. I don't remember a week where we've had so much content. Maybe it's just because
is there such thing as too much content?
There might be. Honestly, like we talked about last week, like the sports hangover. Like I kind of after the World Series last night, I was so revved up. I couldn't get to sleep till like 2 a.m. because it was a great game. It was fun. And then I just sort of felt like this feeling of like anxiety of like, oh man, there was so much sports. And like now there's still football. And like, but then when are we going to get sports back? And it was just like all of these feelings of like, this was awesome, but also tiring. But also when is awesome coming back?
This is the type, it's been the season where it's like, you get these rays of hope that things might get back to normal, and then you just randomly you'll Google COVID alerts and you'll see all the deaths and all the sickness and all the people that are infected, and you're like, this life isn't going to be normal for a long time.
Or not, yeah, for not quite some time.
And I think it snowed downtown today, so
we have a ton of stuff happening. So much so that we couldn't cover something that was breaking just as we were getting ready for the show. Houston Rockets getting ready to announced their new hire, Daryl Morey looking to get hired as well. But we're not going to get to any of that because we have too much on our docket. We're not even going to get to Borat 2, which I think is the most important political movie of our time. But we'll it's a shame. It's a shame. It really is. But maybe I'll write an article about the basketball stuff, unless you guys want to cover it on Weekly Sauce. I know we should probably discuss this in a meeting, but whatever. We'll figure it out.
You can write your article. We're not talking basketball on Weekly Sauce.
Okay, so I'll do basketball. No problem.
Yeah, we're doing
I do have a very important topic I think we need to discuss.
Okay.
Now that I've been stuck at home for I don't know how long now, I've noticed that I'm not like eating out for lunch anymore, right? I'm not even ordering Uber Eats. I'm making like sandwiches at home. And I had this, I guess, epiphany that I don't know how to make a sandwich. And I say that because start processing how you make your sandwich. Like think about it like scientifically. Let's say you have like your breads, your cheeses, your meats, your condiments, right? Like your spreads, your vegetables, your salad, your tomato, your eggplant, whatever you're going to put in it. What order do you do? Like, do you stack them in? And I started like thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't know how to is
All right, so this is my process.
First of all, tomato is the ruiner of sandwich.
Yeah.
When anyone says tomato has no place in a sandwich.
Fuck a tomato.
It's like pineapple on pizza. It's garbage.
Yeah. You don't put tomatoes in your sandwich unless it's like a BLT where it's like it's
Which
tolerable.
Part of the design you need it
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Now, when you're building a sandwich, as you guys would say, what kind of sandwich are we talking about here? Are we talking like a cold cut sandwich? Or are we talking
let's go cold cut. Like some sort of meat, yeah.
Okay, so cold cuts. What I like to do is you got 2 condiments and that's max. If you try to put a third one in there, you're a terrorist. Yeah. Second of all, when it comes to your condiments, it's got to be a thin layer. But I like to double the thin layer. So by that I mean on each side of the toast, you put a thin layer of like hot mustard, a really good mustard, a strong one that's going to kick you right in the nose and the nuts.
Keen's.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the one. That's the one I have. It's unbelievable. So best mustard. Yeah. Or Mike's barbecue BBQ rub mustard truffle sauce. Which is
true. That's now our favorite mustard because we like money.
Yeah, exactly. And that sucks your dick. So you put the thin layer of the Keen's or the Mike's mustard truffle on your toast. If you don't like it toasted, I don't like it toasted. I like feeling the squishiness of the bread.
Agreed. I like the different sensation of having the sort of bread, like a spongy sort of texture.
Yeah, my favorite combo is San Daniele mortadella and any kind of basically a salami. So like a Hungarian salami, spicy is my favorite. I like a Genoa, maybe a soppressata. You know, you slap maybe a double layer of those on, just enough to cover the bread, and then another layer of that, but on each side, so it mirrors. Everything's mirrored. Then you put your mortadella or the second cold cut you chose. Then you put a thin layer of mayo or Hellmann's or whatever other sauce you chose that day. And then, so I'll do that. I'll put a thin layer of mayo in between where there's going to be mayo, cheese, a little bit of mayo again, and then the sandwiches, meat. And that's how I do it.
So for me, it depends if I'm eating it right away. Because overall, I agree. Terry, you're describing someone who's going to eat that sandwich right away. That's the way to do it. You apply the condiments directly to the bread. However, if you're making a sandwich for a picnic, for a road trip, to bring to work, if you put the condiments on the bread, you're going to end up with soggy bread. So you need the lettuce shield. You go bread, lettuce, and directly on the meat and cheese, you apply the condiments, put that together, lettuce on the outer layers, protecting the bread. That way you keep ultimate freshness.
Also, you can't knock a good like pickled eggplant, like a melanzane. You can't replace that with anything. So you got to slap a little bit of spice in there. That's a good way to do it. Or if you're going a little Polish, a little German, a little bit of sauerkraut, I suggest the one from Moishi's. Solid.
Like it. Or you can even go. Oh man, I forgot the name of that. Eagle, what's that Italian spread? It's got like olives and stuff. And
tapenade?
Kind of, but it's like it's a specific Italian one. It comes from a bread.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name. It'll come to me. It'll come to me at some point randomly throughout the show. So that cuts our intro time like immensely, but quickly, Terry, I like this story because it's immensely stupid. And you know I have a rivalry with the NCAA that's lasted the dawn of time. But the following ruling was handed down to the UMass tennis team. They lost their A10 championship. They had 3 years worth of wins vacated. And they so they have all these sanctions that were levied to them. Do you know what the reason was?
Possibly somehow, some way, because the NCAA would not be making money.
Yeah, well, it's worse than that, actually. This is the most petty thing in the world. So the girls stayed in a hotel. The hotel charged them $252 for like a smart jack.
What's a smart jack?
It's like a jack that's on the phone, like on the wall, that you can plug in a phone and use it as a landline.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying.
To which they're, young female students who probably have never seen a landline, because I haven't owned a landline in 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would they have? So they didn't even know what it was, probably. Yet, so then what happened was the school said, you know what, girls, this is unfair. You shouldn't have to pay this. We'll pay the $252, right? Then it's like, you know what? The NCAA has some pretty weird rules. So they self-reported it to the NCAA, God. And the NCAA then levied that punishment. Now, come on.
This is unbelievable, man. Unbelievable how
it's $252 for your entire team. Secondly, it's for a charge that they shouldn't have been charged in the first place. The school did the right thing in both circumstances, both paying for it and then telling the NCAA, and then you punish them anyway. That's nonsense.
It's ridiculous. It's become a point where it's like they have no human side. All they see is the numbers. That's all they see. How are we going to save this $252 when we've made billions off of kids' heads? It's fucking nuts, man. It's stupid.
It's absolutely. They're like, it's an unfair advantage for you to pay $252 while we're making billions.
Exactly.
Unfair advantage.
Exactly. But the person that actually sent out to actually had the balls to say, no, you guys are suspended and all this shit. Like, who is that human being?
And the worst is, if a compliance officer was looking through, the bills from the hotel, they wouldn't even have thought twice, right? Yeah. They'd be like, $250, whatever. One of the coaches probably got pay-per-view. No one would have ever even noticed. They did the right thing and got penalized.
Or you do the quick thing, look to see if it's porn, and then you're like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, no porn, you're good. Actually, they probably would have been okay if coaches ordered porn instead. If they ordered $250 of porn, that would have been fine. But again, we're tight for time. I just thought that was a humorous story. I want to see you laugh, Terry Tam, before we get into the news. Eagle, sing. Eagle, sing. Terry, it's the news.
Boys, I just got something happened just now.
What?
Something very unprecedented. I got my socks back. The socks were just thrown
news.
to me. Yeah, they were just thrown back at me because of the comments I made. I don't know what to do. They're Cowboy socks. They're good socks too, you know. So
maybe that's why she threw them back at you.
No, I think it was more. Well, she voluntarily wears these ones. It's very weird to me, but I got them back, so we're good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you Terry? I know that you have your headset on, so you're the only one who can hear this question, and that's very important. Are you secretly looking forward to getting back into the studio so that your girlfriend won't hear everything you say?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the only one.
No, not at all. Terry, the World Series was decided last night. The LA Dodgers are victorious. They win the World Series. You and I kind of had mixed feelings about how it would be, but either way, I think we would have been happy with whatever happened. And it was honestly, it was a great. The last two rounds specifically were absolutely excellent. And then I thought this was a great World Series, and it was finished off by an absolute beauty of a game.
I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but I watched the highlights this morning, and yeah,
things I could have known before.
No, it's fine. I know pretty much what happened. I watched the abridged version this morning, I'd say.
The 6 minute review so you can watch it on the toilet.
Yeah, exactly that one. No, it was 10 minutes. It was 10 minutes. I watched pretty much the whole thing, and man, it looked like a good game. Why the hell would they take out Snell? I mean, I know everybody's freaking out about it.
Here's the thing. I know it's the easy thing. The easy stance is why the hell? That's why you don't listen to math, so on and so forth. But the only reason
but it's not even math. It's logic. It's the guy only gave up one hit, and all of a sudden we're taking him out.
So there's something mathematical apparently, and we don't even know that for sure. This is why Kevin Cash made that decision, but there's something about when starters face hitters for the third time, they're X amount more likely to get a hit. And he was heading towards the heart of the lineup, like Mookie Betts was.
Yeah, there was a few guys up. Yeah,
sorry.
I
think so essentially,
Mookie Betts and Corey Seager were up. So I mean, I get that. Yeah.
So I understand that, and the thing is that I understand, and Snell obviously wasn't happy, and no pitcher ever wants to get taken out in a tight game. Yeah. But if it was in fact an analytical decision, wouldn't you say that analytics is what got the Rays to the World Series in the first place? This is a team built on that, right? They don't even get there with this team unless they do a lot of these things that allow them to take some shortcuts.
Oh, this team is nowhere without those analytics, but they're also nowhere without Jake Snell.
Of course.
So they're also nowhere without him, without Glasnow, without Kiermaier. They're nowhere without those guys. So you can add analytics. I think baseball is the only sport where analytics actually works. You know what I mean? You legit don't need a manager.
Basketball, it was a quick analytic where 3 points is more than 2 points.
Yeah, okay.
It's not harder to make.
No, but when it comes to changing your lineups and stuff, because there's baseball so many stats. There's so many stats when it comes to baseball. Where in basketball, football, and hockey, there's a team aspect to that where you can't really replace it with numbers. So I can understand the whole thing. Trust what's got you to the dance, right? What got you to the dance? These numbers. Let's follow the numbers. But there's also a thing of trying to overcoach. But also there's a double standard there. The double standard would be if he takes out Jake Snell and then if he keeps him in and they end up losing, Mookie Betts it's a home run, they lose the game. Everybody's going to be saying, "Oh, how come he didn't stick to the numbers?"
No matter what you do,
you're winning.
No matter what you do, and they would have said all season long, you would have taken them out because of analytics. Why is this different? And Jake Snell was at 73 pitches, right? So then by the end of the inning, he's at what 80, 82. He's not lasting much longer anyway, right?
No, so, I mean, I that's the thing. But he's playing so well, where everybody looks back at that year. I think it was 2015. Giants, Madison Bumgarner, when he was standing, He pitched the entire game, a perfect game in Game 7, and they won the game with the San Francisco Giants. And I think people look at that, and people are expecting those moments in baseball. And you almost had a moment like that with Jake Snell yesterday, and it was taken away. It was taken away from you by analytics, where everybody already fucking hates analytics to begin with. So I can understand the outrage. I can also understand both sides of it. Where Kevin Cash, he's been a good coach, and I think that he's been pretty fair when it comes to balancing the lineup, when it comes to coaching and then the analytics as well. So there's no knock on Kevin Cash for this one. I just think that we need to look at it as a little bit deeper than, oh, he was on a heater, because then where you comes to play, where if the stats also tell you that if you hit a guy, if you're facing a guy for the third time, chances are you'll lose. Just like if you play a team twice in the regular season in the NFL and then you play them in the playoffs, if you beat them in the regular season both games, then chances are you'll lose in the playoffs. It is what it is.
And that's the thing. And behind all this, how happy do you think Mike Zunino is? Because he had that pass ball that led to that rally, right? Like, if Mike Zunino just blocks that ball like he's supposed to, because it wasn't a ridiculous pitch to block. He lets the ball get by him, the runner moves over, and then comes around to score. And in the end, like, I know Blake Snell was pitching well, but you only scored one run. So like, there's a lot of other issues happen that led to the Dodgers winning. But I'm happy for Clayton Kershaw, who in the World Series, I know the playoffs in general wasn't absolutely great for him, but in the 11 innings he pitched in the World Series, he had a 2.31 ERA. He was excellent for the Dodgers in World Series. I'm happy he had his great moments in this World Series. I'm happy they finally won, because everyone's got to get off his dick.
So what he did right now was he surpassed his 500 record. So now he's 13-12 in the regular season, in the playoffs, in the postseason. The guy he's got a Hall of Famer in all over him. So the fact that he can get this off his shoulder is amazing. I think that's the best part.
What's his record without trash cans?
That's a good point.
So
it's a very good point. I think
new baseball.
He's basically
it's like when they went to 162 games. It's new math.
He's 2-0 right now in the World Series without trash cans. His team was around him, was good. He was successful, man. I mean, I think Kershaw is probably one of the best we've seen in a long time, in the last 20 years. And it just sucks that he had this cast over him of, not performing in the playoffs, kind of like David Price did before he won with the Red Sox. Like that he had that overshadowing cloud on top of him all the time. You suck in the postseason. And for him to finally get that monkey off his back, you saw it in the celebrations. I think it's great.
Absolutely. The weird thing about the World Series.
Speaking of celebrations.
Sorry?
Speaking of celebrations, Justin Turner is going to get fined for joining the celebration when he has COVID.
Well, so I have so many questions. So did the league let him play knowing he had COVID? Did they test him mid-game? Did some of the players were like, hey, I think he's coughing, let's test him? Like, how does it happen that he gets tested mid-game?
I don't think he got tested mid-game. I think the results came in mid-game.
So you're allowing them to play without getting results?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's the part that doesn't make any sense, right? The whole point of testing every day is that you get results before game time. So if you're testing them and then they go play and then you find out they're sick, it completely defeats the reason why you're testing them every day. If anything, this is the worst case scenario, because he's played half the game. At that point, what are you doing, right? Like, he's already exposed the entire team.
And the other team.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I mean, not that baseball doesn't have a lot of interaction, I would say, but they're all sharing one ball, so that's the piece to me that's like, listen,
but
you guys
still, but they're still hanging around each other, they're still close. Like, the thing is, like, we saw the NBA pull this off, right? And the latter stages of the MLB playoffs were supposed to be conducting a sort of like a semi bubble as well, and it just shows you this is the way MLB was operating from the beginning, that they were going to get to their money no matter what it was, and they did that. But they did give us a great product in exchange. It just, Rob Manfred, you can't wonder why people hate you when you keep doing things this way, and why people like the NBA when they handle things the way they handle things.
Too much sketchiness when it came to this. I think that the Dodgers knew, and they managed to sneak him in. The MLB only found out mid-game that he was playing or whatever happened. Some report, then they pulled him out, and then he snuck out again to go join the celebrations because fuck everybody, I have it already. So if you were gonna get it, you're already gonna get it. So I mean, I've always thought Justin Turner was a piece of shit, and this just adds to it, I think.
Terry, this is the I want to say 6th straight week we lead with the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to football. And like, I'm not even trying to do it. I'm not trying to bother you because this to me was an absolute story when it happened. When Andy Dalton takes that late hit from John Bostic, I don't know about you, and like you're a fan, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm not a Cowboys fan whatsoever. When I saw that, I was so angry because how dangerous we both know the game of football to be. To see someone take that kind of cheap shot at a defensive player, I thought was completely unnecessary.
Well, Bostic is known to be kind of like a dirty player. In college, he was the same way. When I saw the hit, I was like, man, it's like, it doesn't even look like, sometimes there's a bang bang play and a guy gets rocked or whatever.
It was very obvious that Dalton was sliding.
He literally started his tackle heading towards the ground.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that tells you that he saw him happening. You have the reaction time. Football players are some of the best athletes in the world. Your reaction time is like this. You can figure shit out. He didn't think twice, and he was like, I'm going to take this guy's fucking head off. He should be suspended for the rest of the year, and I'm not even like – it's not pro Andy Dalton. It's anti-stupidity.
But like, were you worried that Andy Dalton was going to break off a 90-yard run? That's why you had to load up and hit him?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's Andy Dalton. Like, worst case, just sort of like push him over or chase him down. It's going to take you another half a step. Like, it's Andy Dalton. He's not exactly the most fleet of foot.
Blessing in disguise, we get to see Ben DiNucci play a little bit now. So we'll see what happens there.
Coolest name. He sounds like he should be a private eye. Just saying.
Yeah, he sounds like he should work for the NYPD.
Yeah, like corrupt NYPD. Like
but Benny DiNucci, not Ben.
Yeah. Benny is, if he was working at the NYPD, his first week he would get the nickname. Then he becomes corrupt by his third week.
And he's
Benny DiNucci.
And his mom still calls him Little Benny when he goes back to Queens for lunch.
Yeah.
Oh, Little Benny, how are you?
or what's it called? Staten Island. I could see him being from Staten Island.
Yeah, exactly. Benny DiNucci from Staten Island.
So that's not even the best Cowboy story though. The best Cowboy story to me was Mike Nolan apparently needed to get some wings right before doing his press conference, and then rubbed Tabasco in his eye and had to leave the press conference.
We have the video for all of this stuff because I saved them and I put them in the drive. And I know Eagle's aware.
Thanks for telling me. Actually, I wasn't.
You weren't aware? Oh, it's in the drive, and I put them and I documented it. So the Dalton hit was in the drive. This is in the drive.
You know what? I gotta learn to read. Yeah.
The next two topics are in the drive as well. So I would like. Have you seen the video of him poking his eye with the Tabasco sauce?
Eagle, so don't interrupt us because we're running short on time. But if you can play the video in the background while we're talking, feel free to do that at any point. If not, maybe we can do something creative in post. But so. Is there anything more emblematic of the Dallas Cowboys season than rubbing Tabasco in your eye?
I think all Cowboys fans would like to rub Tabasco sauce in their eyes, and especially towards Mike Nolan's defense.
But so, like you're saying, I was going to come in and say, you know what, Mike Nolan is a pretty terrible defensive coordinator. I think we should spin it now. Mike Nolan, come work for us at Hot Sauce Sports. Be our defensive consultant. You are our favorite. You're the official defensive coordinator of Hot Sauce Sports.
And we have unlimited hot sauce from Chetty, so he can take. And that's anti-tears. Chetty's hot sauce is.
That's what I've heard.
Chetty's hot sauce is anti-tears. Apparently, allegedly, Chetty's hot sauce is anti-tears. You can put that stuff in your eye, and he won't cry. It's fine.
Eagle, we need you to confirm off camera. That's a production job.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley gives the
about putting hot sauce in your eye. It's gonna burn. I mean, yes.
You gotta try it out, dude. You gotta try it out.
Pretty sure I don't.
Todd Gurley gives the Falcons a brand new way to lose. All he had to do was not score, and then they kick a field goal with the time running out. Instead, he falls into the end zone and allows Matthew Stafford to turn the Falcons into the Falcons once again, going down the field, going to game-winning touchdown.
I'm taking the blame off of Gurley on this one.
Okay.
The reason why is that why are you calling a run play with 10 yards away from the end zone?
Well, because they want to drain the amount of time.
I get that.
Any amount of time would guarantee the Falcons' loss.
I get a simple bootleg, but when you're setting it up the middle, they're probably going to let him score. And they pretty much did let him score to the point where he just put his head down, didn't expect to not be touched. And then some guy just literally dragged him into the end zone with him.
But it did look like it was just momentum, right?
Yeah, that's all it was. It was momentum. I can't blame Gurley for this. I think the play call was stupid. Matt Ryan should just kind of like take a knee at that point. If you're in the 10-yard line, you're not at the 45, or if you take a knee, you're out of field goal. They needed
it first though, because or else if they didn't score, Detroit was going to have about 40 seconds left.
It was third down though.
Oh, it was third. You're right.
I have the video. I mean, I think it was third down. I'm pretty sure. If
well,
only.
But it's third. If you don't get it, you got to kick the field goal. It still leaves some amount of time on the clock.
Yeah, but a lot less time for them to gain field position and kick a field goal. You know what I mean? So,
I did love seeing the Lions in those garbage gray uniforms celebrating the Gurley score.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun.
It's so stupid. It was so stupid for them to do that. But whatever. I mean, it's just added to the list of the Falcons this year, man, of the stupid shit that happened for them. It's like them and the Cowboys. It's funny how the Falcons, I felt like the Cowboys were becoming the Falcons, where they're like kind of like at that point where they might just like slowly start falling down from grace. Like, okay, all your hype and all that stuff is falling down. Now they're both kind of at the bottom together. So it's like they're both in the same boat, I think.
We're gonna do two quick topics here, and then before we get to the third main topic, we're gonna go to our guest, Andy McNamara, who's gonna join us shortly. But just quickly, the DK chase down. I was thinking about this.
Let's show that.
He chased down Buda Baker. For all we know, this is playing in the background. We have no idea.
No, because we'll see it on the screen.
Well, I have you in preview, so I won't see it. But anyway, you let me know. But DK Metcalf, in all of his muscular glory, chasing down Buda Baker and preventing a touchdown, more threatening. Do you think was it DK's chase down or LeBron's chase down block of the Warriors to win the championship with Cleveland?
Oh, that's a good call. But I think this one, because this one was literally 90 yards, and we actually have it on screen right now.
I'm saying more threatening. Like if you're being chased, like go with the sport.
I'd rather be chased by LeBron James. I'd rather be chased by LeBron James than DK Metcalf.
So that was my initial reaction. However, I then looked up their sizes. LeBron James is 4 inches and 40 pounds on DK Metcalf.
The reason why he's 40 pounds bigger is because he's 4 inches taller.
Yeah,
DK Metcalf is literally weighs 230
the same body type but taller.
No. There's a width factor and a leg factor that LeBron James has no idea what you're talking. Like what this guy is. Like DK Metcalf is a specimen beyond belief.
I'll give you shoulders. I'll give you shoulders because DK has some sexy shoulders. But LeBron's legs are massive. Nope. His ankles alone are as big as your head.
Nope. He has chicken legs because he's a basketball player.
Does not have chicken legs at all.
Chicken legs, 0%. Basketball player, chicken legs, basketball player.
Let's just hope if you're being chased by like a bear or a cheetah or something, and you have DJ Metcalf with you, you're gonna die because he's getting away.
Yeah,
DK
pretty
Metcalf.
much.
Or he's throwing you into the fucking in the way, and you can't do anything about it because DK Metcalf.
Antonio Brown's set to return now at the Bucks. He makes good, I guess, with Bruce Arians after that didn't end well the first time in Pittsburgh. And now he's back playing with Tom Brady and seems like everyone's friends again. So I know we've joked a lot about it. I find this strange because there's a lot of stuff the NFL hasn't investigated, including a potential rape allegation. And it just feels like there could be another suspension. And also, why didn't the NFL investigate it over like the year that they had to investigate this?
It's very, very, very peculiar. But are you surprised that the NFL doesn't investigate things on time or in the right way?
No, I guess this is the most shocking one because it's very clear that the guy's got enough talent to play. We all know that, right? Like he's not like a guy at the end of his career, he's going to fade away anyway. He's a guy who people want on the roster because teams were trying to get him on the roster even at this point. And they're willing to risk the future suspension. But it just seems really strange that given how high profile it is, they didn't do the research. But I guess what we can do is we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll discuss that with Andy McNamara of TSN 690. Or sorry, he's with The Score now, if I'm not mistaken. We'll follow up with him shortly. He'll let us know where he's working. And we'll talk about that with him.
This show is brought to you by Mike's BBQ Rub, home of the best rubs in town, and La Sauce barbecue sauce. Peace.
Just like Rubbercraft, I can't resist a good rub down, and Mike's barbecue sauce is the best rub down in town.
So visit Mike's BBQ Rub, MTL.com, and use Hot Sauce 10 promo code for 10% off on all individual bottles. That's Hot Sauce 10 for 10% off. And don't forget to rub your meat peas.
And we're back. And as predicted, Terry, your hoodie has been stolen.
Yes. Somebody just stole it from me.
You did describe it as hoodie theft season.
Yeah.
And we know now that this is true.
It's official. Socks and hoodies have been stolen, my friends. And I was just robbed off camera.
It's such important news that I feel like we really should spend more time on it. And I kind of want to bump our next guest, because it's such prevalent news during these dire times. But I think we're going to stick with the script anyway. We'll go to Andy McNamara of Sportsnet. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, good boys. Good to be back on with you. How's everything?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
I'm a Dolphins
glad
fan,
to have you back
so
on.
I think everything is going to be solved starting this week.
Two at a time.
I'm ready now for 15 years of Super Bowl runs. That's what I've sold myself on for the last 3 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've sold myself on that Ben DiNucci is going to bring us to the promised land.
Oh, God.
Benny D, baby, Benny D.
I saw that. I'm like, oh, ooh, so this is how it ends, huh, Cowboys? This is how it ends.
Okay, so that's going to lead us to our first question, Andy, just to get you started.
Yeah.
Andy, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
What do the Cowboys do now? What do they do?
Well, they've re-signed, now don't get too excited, Cooper Rush back.
Ooh.
So, he was with the Cowboys, and then they cut him. And then he went to the Giants, and then they cut him. And now the Cowboys got him back. So you got Cooper Rush, which, I look back at my combine notes. Not great, but, it's a body. It's I know him better than DiNucci. I don't know too much about him. But it seems, guys, like a fire sale now in Dallas. All of a sudden, like, they're shipping guys off. They're talking. The infighting is astonishing. Openly, players saying the coaching staff doesn't know what they're doing. Mike McCarthy signed a long contract there. Like, what is going to happen in Dallas? Dak goes, and everything falls apart in that NFC East, which, let's be honest, is still very much up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that it's up for grabs that the winner of the division is going to finish 5-11 or 6-10, and right. I mean, I don't know what Cooper Rush, if he's the savior of the team or not, but the way I saw it was, out of all these people coming out and talking about the coaching staff and the preparation or lack of preparation, I knew that there was going to be a fire sale because there's something wrong with the locker room there. There's something that doesn't gel, and all these new guys that they added in, McCoy, Poe, Griffin, all great talents at one point in their careers, but reasons why they're not with their first franchises is that maybe they were a little bit head cases. We know Everson Griffin was a head case. So when they signed him, I didn't get too excited because I had a feeling he wouldn't finish the season.
And it was a case where I understood what Dallas was doing in the sense that they had Dak, they had drafted CeeDee Lamb, they were in go for it now mode. Like, this was a go for it this year mode. So you bring in, I get that mindset sort of, okay, maybe they're problem guys, maybe there's some issues, but if we're in go for it mode, winning solves everything, and you get some talent maybe on a rotational basis. So I understand it. But the problem is when you go that route, like we're seeing, things start to go south, then there's a lot of malcontents there. And now we're seeing that sell-off, which is so disappointing. Like, from a fantasy perspective, the fall off from how many people drafted high: Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak, right? Like, just all gone down the tubes. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, Andy, I want to ask actually, because you being a Cleveland Browns fan, that injury to Odell, I found for some reason, and I'm not a Browns fan at all, but just seeing that injury, my heart kind of sank, and I just really felt bad for a player who I thought has a bit of a bad rap for reasons that I don't particularly agree with. Am I alone in that sentiment, or is that like what Browns fans feel across the board?
Yeah, and I think it even came out a little bit more after the outpouring of support from teammates, and not the usual, get better, man. You see that all the time, but coming out more so than ever that he was the energizer, the juice, the most popular locker room force there that got everybody sort of jacked up. So to feel that emotion in the locker room, while you can make an argument, I think it's a valid one, where not having the pressure internally, whatever, mental for Baker Mayfield to get OBJ X number of targets or always look his way and be able to spread the ball out like he did in his rookie season where he had the most success, still there's that intangible that is going to be missing there. I think they're going to be able to overcome it. I am. But it is something very unfortunate. And I'm with you. I think he does get a bit of a bad rap as that super diva type. It turns out maybe he was more of a team guy than most people thought.
Yeah, I mean,
as long as you're not the field goal kicking net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, then you might disagree.
I mean, I ate my words a bit too because I always thought that OBJ was kind of like a head case as well. I mean, we saw it with the kicking net, like Pete mentioned. My issue with the Browns isn't necessarily the receiving core or whatever. I mean, their team looks well. Is that I think Baker Mayfield feels like he can do no wrong. And when he does wrong, you call him out on it. You're wrong for calling him out on it. And then when he does right, you should be kissing his feet. Is my assessment wrong?
You know what? It's not that far off. That's kind of I've often thought, like, if Baker Mayfield was on not my team, I'd probably hate him. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he's on my team. I'm gonna love him until he's not, right? But yeah, and that's part of really what gives Baker his edge and what has driven him to be great up to the National Football League to eventually become the first overall pick, right? The walk-on status, the transferring, the FU to the world type of mentality that has gotten him to this point, has served him in different ways well, even in the pros. But it's a case where, all right, if you want to have the swag, you want to do that over-the-top confidence or negativity when you're down, you're going to have to deal with it. Like, you're going to have to deal with the national media dumping on you. You're going to have to deal with people wanting you to fail, and it's up to you to overcome it. Whereas if you have more of a just placid personality, like Sam Darnold, I call him Dead Eyes. He just has, like, you know, he's just sort of staring out there. Like, no one's getting mad at Sam Darnold because
It's a side effect of mono.
So here's the thing, Andy. Like, I'm the opposite. Like, I'm an agent for chaos. I love when a superstar was not afraid to just say what's on their mind, is willing to say something interesting, something that, like, guys like me and you and Terry can run with and make fun of and have fun with. And Baker Mayfield, to me, he's an interesting guy. Give me more interesting guys than Peyton Manning's giving me the same answers every week. Like, I like a guy who's a bit feisty, who, you know what, he's gonna get annoyed when you pick at him, but, like, I mean, I would, maybe internally or externally, but I would get annoyed if guys picked at me. Terry would too. I've seen Terry's temper. I know what it's all about. He's usually only exhibits it towards me, but, you know, I know what it's all about. And another guy who's got kind of that extra, that plus some sort of more, how can I put this, sort of team cancer sort of reputation in Antonio Brown. We see his return coming now to the Buccaneers. I know you're nodding by how impressed you are and how I tied them together. To be clear, I didn't know how I was going to do that when I started.
You did it, man. That's a professional broadcaster.
Yeah, right.
I guess so. But when you see him going to the Buccaneers, do you think that'll have a bigger fantasy impact or a bigger NFL impact if and when he plays?
I like that question. A bigger fantasy or NFL impact? You know what? Honestly, I think it's going to have probably a bigger NFL real-life impact. And this is going to be fascinating to follow because people have said, oh, he's been humbled. Oh, okay. Like Antonio Brown, last we saw him, very unstable, I think is a nice way to put it, right?
Unhinged,
unloose, wild card, like whatever you want to call it. So he's going to come into a positive situation. Things are going well, like with most players. If things are going good and you're winning, Antonio Brown's going to be just fine. What if they don't? What if, in Antonio Brown's mind, he's not getting enough targets, right? Like, that's what we don't know. And he can do the song and dance all he wants to say he's changed or whatever. That's cool. He's got to prove it. So if we look at it from a fantasy side, all right, how are these targets going to get distributed out? I would be very concerned if I'm a Mike Evans owner, a Godwin owner, especially when we're looking at that, because how is it going to be distributed? How long? Here's the other question. Okay, Antonio Brown gets in, hasn't played in a long time. How many weeks till he gets up to full speed? And in the meantime, how is that going to affect the target share of Evans and Godwin, and even to a lesser extent, Scotty Miller for PPR formats, right? Like there's so many layers to it. So I think it's going to have a negative fantasy impact overall. But hey, you know what? Real life NFL, you got another guy to worry about for defenses. So it's a good thing.
And that's the thing. I think he'll probably be more of a threat when it comes to real NFL pieces. To answer your question, and like Andy said, I mean, fantasy wise, it'll be hard for me to say that he's going to be a game breaker fantasy wise. He probably might have 1 or 2 games, right, Andy, where he'll break up, maybe get 2 touchdowns, maybe 4 or 5 catches. If you're in a PPR, that might benefit you. But I think that there's so many mouths to feed in that offense. And my question to you, Andy, is this the best offense we've seen in the last 15 years on paper?
On paper, you look at it like and the on paper part's important because Mike Evans and Godwin still are not 100% healthy. They're playing. Exactly. There's the ankles, there's the hammies and all that. But if we took them solely at full health, everybody's healthy. Okay, we're playing Madden here. Everybody's healthy. And you added Leonard Fournette in the backfield, Ronald Jones, Gronk, even to a lesser extent, Cameron Brate, who I'm still a little bullish on as if Gronk gets hurt, a nice handcuff there.
OJ Howard.
OJ Howard, if he's healthy, right? Yeah. He's knocked out for the year. Those weapons, and for Tom Brady, it just seems like all he's got to do is get those guys in the precision routes that he needs. Tom Brady, as we know, it's all precision, it's all timing. If you get those guys all clicking and they know where to be, I don't know how you stop that offense. I really don't.
And Tom Brady found his Welker / Edelman / now Miller.
Scotty Miller. Yeah.
Never heard of him before this season, and all of a sudden he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Look for the tiny little white guy receiver, and it's like, there's Brady's guy.
That's the guy.
That's the one. That's the one.
Scotty Miller, love it.
So I have a question. Actually, this is for specifically like switching gears to only fantasy now.
Yeah.
We saw last season a guy like Darius Slayton come onto the scene and give guys a boost, give teams a boost to maybe help them win their leagues. Who are guys at both the running back and wide receiver position who you think can be guys who you can add now to your roster, but will only have an impact late season / playoffs?
Great question. And I actually have articles that come out twice a week on sportsnet.ca, my waiver wire pickups article every Tuesday, and on Saturday, my sleepers article. And you can get that on sportsnet.ca, and on the Twitter right there, you see the link.
I've actually used your I've actually used your sleepers article for daily fantasy.
Oh, yeah?
To look for like who can I get value from, and I've used your waiver wire pickups as well. So
awesome,
definitely do check that out.
Good, thank you so much. A guy I'm looking for, and who I had in this week's article, Nelson Aguilar. Guys, it feels weird to say from his Eagle days. I know, constant disappointment. Look at, and I'm not one about chasing points. If a guy has a big week, you got to prove it to me a little bit first. 3 weeks in a row, each week a touchdown. 14.10 fantasy points, the minimum. Last week, you went over 100 yards in 21. That's 3 straight weeks. Now you got a plus matchup versus the Browns, whose secondary can't stop anybody. Now, it's an interesting defense because the Browns lead the league in turnovers, but they give up a lot of points. You're going to be in a shootout here, and Derek Carr is finding Nelson Aguilar. That people are sleeping on that guy so hard. I would jump at Nelson Aguilar right now. And at running back, this is where we got to track it a little bit. Jermichael Hasty, big pickup, but you got to wonder if Tevin Coleman's going to play this week. We got to watch. Then DJ Dallas, who I absolutely loved as a dynasty stash going into this year for Seattle, for PPR only. I think the guy's a hell of a pass catcher, and he's got some zip, little swag to him too. If Carlos Hyde's hamstring acts up, now again, we're not going to know that till later in the week, but if he doesn't go, he's the only back. He's it. Like he's the only guy they can put back there because of the COVID rules. You can't just pop somebody in out of nowhere. So DJ Dallas and Jermichael Hasty are 2 running backs I would track, watch the health of the other players, and if it shows that they're going to start, you get them in the lineup.
You mentioned Hasty, and my question is, as a guy who owns Mostert in several leagues and therefore owns McKinnon in several leagues, why wasn't McKinnon playing last week? ?
Dude, I had him on one of my teams. I did. I had him in there. I was like, all right, McKinnon. Then Kyle Shanahan we wanted to rest him. He's been getting too much work. Kyle, could you have told us before kickoff that
Thanks,
-1?
Thanks, Kyle Shanahan.
-1 point. You would have been better to leave the spot blank. That was killer.
Absolutely. It was a killer. I had a terrible week.
I lost my week by 5 points. So thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, that'll do it.
What I like about Kyle, I don't like that, but what I like about Kyle is that he's kind of like extended his father's legacy to the way he coaches and how you can put any running back in there and they'll just get you 1,000 yards. I'll never forget the Denver Broncos and Mike Anderson. What happened to Mike Anderson after he had those 1,000-yard seasons? We don't even know.
A fullback. Yeah. Mike Anderson started as a fullback.
Yeah, he was like 400 pounds. But just to say is I think Kyle Shanahan's a great coach, but he doesn't care about fantasy clearly, which means we hate him.
We do.
Well, and if you remember the way Mostert started, Andy, it was a week that Alfred Morris was supposed to get all of the work, and instead he got -1 point, and all of the other yards and all the other work went to Raheem Mostert. So just to say he's done it before. So I don't know why I'm surprised. I don't know why you were surprised. It's just what he does.
It just happened. Jeff Wilson then popped last week, but he's out injured too. So it might, if Tevin Coleman does not play, and he was activated from injured reserve, so the 49ers have 21 days to get him back on the roster. I'm hoping he doesn't play this week because that would just muddy it all up because then you don't know how much work Coleman's going to get. If it's just him, you're going to have Hasty, you're going to have McKinnon. And again, when it comes down to that, is he going to rest McKinnon more? I don't know. So I'm a little spooked from McKinnon, but if Coleman doesn't go, I'd feel pretty good about Hasty, who in the limited carries last week, I thought he had real quick feet, had a little head jiggle. I liked him. I thought he had a little bit of elusiveness to him last week.
Absolutely. Andy, before we let you go, give me 3 buy low candidates that our listeners and our viewers can sort of keep in mind and make offers for heading into the latter half of the season.
So I'll give you one that you can get off the waivers. You don't got to buy low. Rashard Higgins, and we talked about OBJ earlier. This is a guy who you have to remember. He lived at Baker Mayfield's house a couple of years ago. Lived with him. They had rapport. He was in the doghouse last year. He's coming back. Rashard Higgins is a guy you can get off waivers now. Now, somebody else you might want to look at, and it's a buy low if he's in a league. And listen, because of the dire straits of the running back position, in a perfect world, I don't love this. But Devontae Freeman of the Giants, okay? The Giants stink. I know it. You know it. But if you can offer next to nothing and you need for some running back depth, he's the only guy that can make any sort of impact. He's banged up now, but for the push to the playoffs, that's a guy on the bench who, as the touches went up before he got banged up again, we saw the workload start to increase steadily. Got a touchdown. That's somebody on your bench I would like. I don't want to start him, but as a bench depth guy, I really like that. And, again, for quarterback, heck, if you can get somebody who maybe is selling a little bit on Joe Burrow, they're excited about Justin Herbert, the rookie. Joe Burrow's the real deal, too. And I think that's some of the shine has come off him a little bit with Justin Herbert. So maybe see if you can get a little bit of a discount in your league on him.
Absolutely. I'll share one. I guess it's not even really a buy low, sort of just a surprise buy that I've seen all over the place. And I think it's just because of 1 week it was an absolute goose egg. Is, believe it or not, Calvin Ridley is the guy I've been able to trade for in multiple leagues just because people are so scared about that.
The fact that it doesn't make sense how you got that trade. How you got that trade? You're
That's phenomenal.
But it's Terry. I've done that in 3 leagues.
Doesn't make sense.
Wow.
People are so terrified of Julio Jones being the quote unquote workhorse, even though wide receivers don't work that way. Secondly, just the fact that again he had that 1 week where he put up 0, and fantasy owners are emotional people.
Yes.
And they get scarred easily. And so I was just like, let me just throw out this name, Calvin Ridley. And someone else I spoken to says, hey, I got Calvin Ridley for like a decent price. And by that I mean like a package of like RB2, wide receiver 2. And for that, in exchange, you're getting the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy.
Wow.
0 a week. It makes no sense to me. But
especially with Julio Jones, every week, guys, except for like one, he's got a letter beside his name. Question. It's a toe. It's a hammy. It's an ankle. Like, you're not getting that is an absolute steal. I love it. I love it.
Like, and the thing is, it's not I'm saying like buy low in terms of like you'll get them for nothing. It'll cost you valuable pieces,
but not as much.
You can return elite value. You got to take it.
Oh my gosh,
when I saw that trade, I wanted to take Chetty's Hot Sauce, our sponsor, Hot Sauce 25% off the entire website. I wanted to take their garlic and their mango hot sauce and pour it into my eyes.
That's what Mike Nolan did. Yeah. That's what Mike Nolan did, Terry.
Yeah, Mike Nolan. He did Tabasco sauce.
Where you got it from?
Was that not the best?
Lesser sauce.
What a Dallas series like, guys, I got hot sauce on my. It's like, is this real?
What Texas is this right now?
Yeah, you know what? You mentioned the Falcons. Hayden Hurst at tight end. That's another guy I was really high on coming on. Slow start. Matt Ryan loves his tight ends, and we're starting to see back-to-back weeks again. Nice in the teens fantasy points in PPR, getting the odd touchdown. I think Hayden Hurst is another buy low candidate, especially with that tight end group is so. Like around the whole league is so thin. Dallas Goedert too. If someone panicked and dropped him or thinks he's not going to be a big part of that Philly offense, he's going to be coming off of IR. They just designated him to return too.
I just dropped him.
Get him back.
So Hayden Hurst, I drafted in most of my leagues as my backup tight end. Hunter Henry, George Kittle were the guys that I was reaching for. So most of the time I got Hunter Henry and Hayden Hurst. That was my backup. I ended up dropping him in a couple leagues because he wasn't doing much and I needed to make a move and I don't want to get rid of the other guys. Now I'm looking to get him back. But also, I fucking dropped Dallas Goedert when he was on my IR because I needed that space.
You know what? I had Dallas Goedert in one. I didn't need another IR space, so I still have him there. But what I was able to do, I picked up Robert Tonyan, for the Packers. I got him a week before he was cool, folks. That's why you read my stuff. That's why you read my stuff. I got him before it was cool. And then I had Evan Ingram sort of as a bridge. Evan Ingram's going to get you 9 points. That's it. He's not going to get you less. Yeah. He's going to get you 9 points. So if you like that, that's fine. But that was sort of my balance there.
So, Andy, just one quick question here before we let you go. I was actually thinking about this. I've made a lot of my decisions this year in fantasy based on pacing, how quickly teams play. So I like, for example, a lot of guys on Atlanta, a lot of guys, like, for example, Kenny Galladay in Detroit. I like a lot of guys who play on fast offenses because the more plays a team runs, the more opportunity they have for scoring and for contribution, kind of the way you look at pacing in basketball. And I was wondering if that's going to be a metric people start to look at when it comes to fantasy and sometime soon. Makes
a lot of sense, and you can throw Arizona in that too, with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, Arizona too. I drafted a lot of Arizona.
Yeah,
Kenny Drake's been irritating me, but whatever.
I know. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. No, it makes sense because why? You have a faster pace offense. You get more plays in. There's more potential to get more fantasy points. Right? It makes total sense. Another guy you should keep an eye on too, speaking of Arizona, Christian Kirk. Do not sleep on that guy.
Oh, I have him. I got offered a few trades for him, and I
really.
I have him too. Yeah,
nice.
I
got him off waivers.
And then the week he blew up, I had him on my bench because I'm an asshole.
No, and you know what? It's always a question with DeAndre Hopkins, but he was dinged up a little bit too. But it seems like as Kyler Murray is evolving, Christian Kirk is getting more. We all love Larry Fitzgerald, but he's a non-factor anymore. So Christian Kirk's another guy that your listeners might want to get in there.
This is good stuff. I want to rewatch this later and write it all down.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy, for joining us. As always, great fantasy advice and great NFL insight as well. That's what makes you the best in the business. Joining us from Sportsnet. Thanks a lot, Andy.
Oh, anytime, guys. Love chatting with you.
Thank you, Andy.
Appreciate it.
This show is brought to you by Mike's BBQ Rub, home of the best rubs in town and La Sal's barbecue sauce, please.
Absolutely. They will get you satisfied in 12 seconds or less, just like Rick Pitino at that restaurant.
So visit Mike's BBQ Rub, MTL.com, and use Hot Sauce 10 promo code for 10% off on all individual bottles. That's Hot Sauce 10 for 10% off. And please don't forget to rub your meat.
That was, again, another awesome interview with Andy McNamara. It's the first time we're not drinking while interviewing Andy Mac. The dude is legendary, of course, for his old fashions, but more importantly for our listeners at this time of year, for his fantasy football prowess. That dude is awesome. Maybe we can have him on, Terry, near the end of the season and get some fan questions, sort of outsource the work. We do less, the fans do more.
That's a good idea.
And we get the same amount of sponsorship.
It's an amazing idea. Love it. Love it.
I like it.
We might get another sponsor and get more money out of it.
That's the goal. That's the goal, for us to do less and less work and more and more sponsors.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down for that.
Just like Elliot Price always did radio. Outsource all the work to callers.
Hey, don't fucking talk about Elliot Price. He's a fucking legend in the city.
Yeah, he's a garbage man. I agree. Mike Miller, speaking of people who might potentially be garbage, Mike Miller gets drafted by the Coyotes. The Coyotes have a CEO who's on the league's what's the organization, Eagle?
I'm gonna find it.
Get the name because I want to get the wording right exactly of his title. But they drafted a guy who bullied a minority disabled player. A minority disabled kid while he was a junior league player, and this guy was tormented until even 2 years ago. So even past high school, Mike Miller was still being a jerk, and the only time an apology ever came out was after he got caught. So it begs the question is whether he felt bad or whether he just apologized because he got caught.
The name of the organization is the Inclusion Council.
Yeah. So his apology was to the teams, not to the person. So imagine I kick you in the nuts and I call your boss and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I kicked Peas in the nuts. I call my boss. I'm like, hey, I kicked this guy in the nuts. Sorry, I apologize.
It's true. It's not even my boss. Not even to say why I'm missing work. It's hey, look, sorry I'm late. I kicked the guy in the balls. I have to clean my shoe after.
There's an open letter from the mother of the boy that he bullied, and it basically says, I read the statements made by Bill Armstrong, and I find them demeaning to our son. Are you all aware Mitchell never apologized to our son? Are you aware 2 years ago he still taunted him? Are you aware this went on for years? I respect you stating he sent all the NHL teams an apology, but would it make sense if he was truly remorseful to send a letter to the kid that he brutally bullied both mentally and physically? Like, she's totally right in this one.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's truly awful. And Terry, you and I have talked to hockey players. We know some of the the hazing and some of the stuff that goes behind the scenes. We know some of the stuff with minorities in the league and how tough hockey is on those players specifically. I'm sure we're going to get more from this story, and I kind of want to react to it as it unravels, and we'll see. Hopefully, it's something that gets discussed further than this and isn't. Alexa, reminder off. I hate this. I hate working from home.
The kid's gonna come out and apologize, and then we're all gonna forget about it.
Do you guys think John Chayka, if he was still GM, he would have drafted him?
100%.
Yeah.
Actually, John Chayka has analytics, so I don't know if John Chayka would have drafted him. That's a good point.
Depends. Did the analytics cover bullying and being a jackass?
It's a good point. I don't know. If he didn't put it in there, then he's the asshole.
Is there a douche factor that you're grading?
Next.
If so, no lacrosse players from Duke make your team.
Exactly.
Eagle, I think it's time to get rapid fire. Sorry, we've been running so long because we've had so much to cover, especially sandwiches.
Yes. First topic is going to be Tiger King's future. So Trevor Lawrence was asked if he plans on declaring for the NFL draft. His answer is the most boring answer you can expect. My mindset has been that I'm going to move on, but who knows? There's a lot that could happen. And cue the snores.
So what I got from this was maybe. It's a rare occasion that someone's asked a question and I have less information after they answer it than before the answer was given. So Trevor Lawrence, man, if this doesn't work out, maybe you can find a career in politics.
I think Trevor Lawrence, as a politician, is a guarantee. I think Trevor Lawrence has the most beautiful hair of all time. But
does he cut his hair for politics? Does he cut his hair to like?
You can't, because it's what's going to get you votes.
Yeah,
and I feel like
he's the Steve Harrington of the NFL or the NCAA.
I feel like he has a head where long hair just has to be there. He can't have short hair. His head is huge if you think about it. It's like long. It comes out like this.
He does. It's true. You know what? The hair frames his face because he wouldn't be attractive. I don't think if he had short hair.
It's a good point. It draws you in.
It's kind of like Slash from Guns N' Roses. Was he only hot because of the hair and the hat?
Well, I thought I was hot when I was 18 and I had hair down to my nipple. Heavy metalhead playing football. Fat as shit. It was good.
I was the exact same person. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Next, Stampede analysis. Jeff Garcia says Cam Newton should spend less time on his wardrobe and more time in his playbook. Is this another old man get off my lawn comment or actual analysis? And I will add to this, there's stories from New England teammates where they're on the team plane flying to places and Newton's studying the playbook while everyone else is kind of chilling and sleeping on the plane.
What do you mean?
Literally that.
Sleeping on a
Like, people are like, you're flying to your away game, essentially, right? Or you're flying home. And people are like, listening to music, taking a nap, reading a book, whatever it is. And here he is studying the playbook and reviewing stuff and all that stuff.
Okay, I misunderstood. Yeah. So,
Jeff Garcia
is is becoming the Paul Pierce of football. It's like where you were relevant.
Oh, no, but Paul Pierce was good.
But Jeff Garcia was good.
Jeff Garcia was a guy. He was a guy who played in the NFL.
He had like one good season in the NFL.
Yeah, Paul Pierce
had some success. Yeah, we had some success. No, but just to say is that Jeff Garcia is becoming the guy that just is trying to get sound bites and stay relevant and just coach your high school football team and leave us alone. You know what I mean? Like,
so the thing I hate about this is it's not actual analysis, right? Because look, you see me, Terry. You know I'm in finance threads. You know how much work I put in. It is what it is. They're two separate things. That's like saying, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't jerk off so much at night and go to work in the morning. You could do both things. Why don't you stop watching Netflix and work harder on your body? For all you know, the guy's at the gym 8 hours, watches Netflix for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You don't know what these people do clearly because, again, all I've ever heard about Cam Newton is he's a hard worker. Now, you might not like his style. You might think, you know what? I'm the kind of person who thinks you need to have flash only if you're successful, which I think is ridiculous. But that might be your standpoint. But even at that, how about you're a former NFL and CFL quarterback, mostly CFL, but you're a former professional quarterback. How about you give us analysis that guys like Terry and I can't do? Because Terry and I can make fun of how people dress. We can't talk about how it's like to be an NFL quarterback. How about you give us your actual expertise? Or maybe you don't have it because you were trash.
I don't know who's worse, Jeff Garcia or Skip Bayless now. But Skip Bayless, because you kind of expect the stupidity. Where Jeff Garcia, it's like, why is he talking?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. While he was wearing the most god-awful suit I've ever seen, talking about Cam Newton's wardrobe.
Not to mention the jeans that I found in that picture that Eagles putting up, I hope.
Exactly.
Garbage acid wash jeans.
Next, does Bo know? Bo Jackson says he'd run for 350 to 400 yards per game in today's NFL. Do you guys believe him?
The only reason why I believe him is because the amount of juice he was on back in the day, where they didn't test for that kind of thing. So if he was on that kind of amount of juice today, then yes, he would probably rush for close to 300 yards a game.
I don't think it's 300 yards a game. And I think I have proof. I have actual proof, like physical proof that exists today that he could not do it. You want to know what that proof is?
Oh.
Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a bigger, faster version of Bo Jackson, and he does not rush for 300 to 400 yards. He ran for last week, or a couple weeks ago when he broke that big 94-yard run or whatever it was, he was running 20 miles an hour. Something that big was running 20 miles an hour. Think about that.
Well, DK Metcalf on that run was 22.6 miles an hour.
But that's what I'm saying. These guys are bigger and faster than they were in Bo's days, including the defense. So I don't see it. Honestly, I love Bo Jackson. I think he was absolutely incredible athlete. I think he would be Derrick Henry of today or greater. But, at most, he's going to be what a lot of these guys are, 1,500 to 2,000-yard guys. And that's still amazing.
One of the best athletes of all time.
Absolutely.
Next, Christian McCaffrey started practice in a red non-contact jersey and then decided, fuck it, I feel like practicing today, and put on a regular one.
You know why? Because Christian McCaffrey is a tough son of a bitch, and he knows that he's going to get ripped all kinds if he had kept that jersey on all practice.
I disagree, Terry. I think I know what this is because I pulled this move. I pulled this move when I was like my terrible basketball team where I was like the unheralded guy who was like the second best scorer on the team. So like guys liked me. I was a teammate guy. So like I had faked an injury, and then like as the game started, warm-up started, I started running around the court to try and intimidate the other team. That's what Christian McCaffrey did. It's high school antics. I love it.
And last topic for today, and I don't understand the telephone here, Petty Wars. Pat Riley says the 2020 championship of the NBA Finals should come with an asterisk because of the whole situation and the Heat playing with a few hurt players.
So
the
when
telephone, just really quickly, Terry, the telephone was because I accidentally put the NCAA phone jack story twice on the script and not the Pat Riley story. So it's fine. Just
so not only did you fuck up the description, you also fucked up the icon.
But if you look at Pat Riley, doesn't he not look like a dial-up phone, like a home phone?
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. Very good point. So Pat Riley, would you have taken the asterisk if the Heat had won the championship?
So the reason he's saying it's not because of the bubble and the 60 games and all that.
Okay, he's saying because of the amount of injuries they had.
Because Goran and Bam were hurt. But I mean,
listen, if Bam was there, it's a different series, but it's also the outcome, I think, stays the same. Like as good as Bam is, yeah.
The Lakers were the better team. We all know that. It would have been an amazing story had the Heat won. We all wanted it to happen, but no one truly expected that to happen. We saw, look, LeBron James and AD were the two best players on the court no matter what, no matter who else was on the court. So then the thing that I see is just a guy in his later years kind of just trying to hang on to glory, and he was so close. That might be his last chance in his life, and he feels that he lost it. It's really unfortunate, but at the same time, injuries have always been a part of it. The Cavs didn't get an asterisk when Draymond Green was suspended, or Toronto didn't get an asterisk when Golden State all got injured in the last championship. It is what it is. Nobody even remembers the injuries. You just remember the winner.
And when we talk about the Lakers championships in, let's say, 10 years from now, I don't think many people are going to say the asterisk, but they will say it when it comes to LeBron. So people pick and choose when they say it, and to me, there is none. It's a non-factor.
LeBron, man. Like to criticize that level of greatness the way we do, I just feel bad. It's hard to feel bad for someone who's so successful and so rich, but man, it just seems like, why are we doing this? Like we're gonna look back at it and tell our kids this guy was amazing, and then they'll look back at all the comments and be like, why do people hate him? I don't know, because he wasn't another guy. It's crazy. It's just the most ridiculous thing. Anyway, Terry, thank you for everything you've done today. You've been awesome. Andy Mack was absolutely on fire. Great fantasy football analysis, great NFL analysis. Eagle, you did some stuff. I assume I've had the script on and Terry's face in preview, so I don't even know what's on the screen. I assume you did a good job. Thank you for that. But most
it
of all,
really good. Duke gave us brand new graphics, so I've been editing them in slowly but surely.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks nice. It looks nice.
That's it, boys. That's all there is. So, Eagle, play the thing that I'm not supposed to say.
To Hot Sauce Sports.
I just did it.
Amazing. We got the timing right, even though it was clunky as hell.
That's why you don't talk anymore.